Pokemon Black and White marked the start of Gen 5, and Black and White and Black and White 2 were the last Pokemon games on the Nintendo DS. Black and White came out September 18th, 2010 in Japan, and March 6th, 2011 in North America. I haven't played through Gen 5 since 14 years ago, and I've only played through it once, and recently I replayed through it, and it was absolutely amazing. Do these games still hold up after all this time, and has my opinion changed over the years? Let's get into it. This game takes place in the Unova region. Basically, it's inspired by New York. Some Pokemon designs are very New York inspired, such as like Trubbish or Pidove. In this game, you can pick Hilbert, the male protagonist, or Hilda, the female protagonist. I love the trainer designs on here. It very much resembles like Red from Gen 1. And that's the thing with Gen 5, it's kind of like a soft reboot where they wanted to make the Pokédex all brand new Pokemon. So you won't see any previous Gen Pokemon your entire playthrough until you get to the post game. And I feel like that's reflected in the trainer design. Since it's like a soft reboot, like Hilbert and Hilda, they kind of have like the same style as Red did in Gen 1, so I like that a lot. The game starts off with you in your house, and you'll meet Sharon, who will be your kind of rival throughout the game, and Bianca. She'll also be a kind of a rival to you. Great characters, and sometimes they like meet up with you throughout the game. But this is where you get to choose your starter, and it happens pretty quickly. Usually like in Pokemon games, you have to like make your way to the laboratory or something, but on here it's just like instant, you know? You get to choose Tepig, the fire pig, Oshawott, the water otter, and Snivy, he's like a grass snake. My very first playthrough back when this game first came out, I chose Tepig because I usually like fire types, but his like design as he evolves, I wasn't like I'm not too like fond of it. I mean, it's not bad. But for this playthrough, I chose Oshawott because honestly, I just think his design is way cooler. Once you pick your starter, you'll have a battle with Charon and Bianca. And so, this all happens so fast and quickly, and you know, I haven't played these games in forever, so I'm just kind of like shocked like how quick everything happens compared to previous gens, which I like it, you know. Then you'll meet up with Professor Juniper. She's like a female professor, the very first one out of all the Pokemon games, and that's pretty cool. She'll teach you how to catch a Pokemon and all that, and then you'll eventually be on your way. As you start your journey, you'll eventually head to Accumula Town, and Professor Juniper will show you around the Pokemon Center. And on here, Pokemon Centers and Pokemarts are combined, so this all started with Gen 5, which is interesting because I had totally forgotten. So they're all just in one building now, so you just go to the Pokemon Center to buy Pokeballs, potions, and heal. So I guess that's more convenient, but it really wasn't an issue in the previous games, previous gens, but it's a cool addition. In this town is where you'll get your first introduction to Team Plasma and the character N. Team Plasma is holding a rally about how Pokemon should be liberated from trainers, and what's interesting and cool about the bad guy team on this game, Team Plasma, is it's not like Team Rocket where we're just bad guys. It's like Team Plasma is questioning the player's own morals and beliefs. Like, are we enslaving Pokemon? Are we forcing them to do stuff? But obviously not. But they question the player's morals, and even the NPCs, they're like, is this wrong? Maybe we should set our Pokemon free. So it's an interesting plot, and I like that a lot. And obviously, Team Plasma has like their own goals with this whole thing, but they try to manipulate the player and the other characters in the game, so I think it's interesting. Shortly after their little rally, you'll be confronted with N, and he talks like super fast, and you'll immediately get thrown into a battle. And I love the battle music. in general in this game, but especially when you fight N, that's just epic. But yeah, you'll battle him, and he'll show up at the most random times throughout the whole game. There'll be like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 encounters randomly. Well, he'll just like ambush you and pop out of nowhere, so always be ready for that. But he's never like too hard to defeat. But he'll always be questioning the player, like, oh, we're making Pokemon suffer by doing this, but that's not what it's like, you know? But he's a great character, and obviously he's being manipulated, which we'll talk about later. The thing about Gen 5 and Pokemon Black and White is this game is very story-focused. Every Pokemon game has a story, obviously, but this game is very story-driven, you know, and because of that, the game can come off as linear. Take Johto, for example. You can, like, go down a branching, forking path in the road, you know, where you could go to the one city or somewhere else, but because of that, there's, like, a level curve. On this game, you basically go in, like, a giant circle on the map. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but it is just, like, a straightforward path. There's not, like, too many different, like, routes to, like, explore and, like, try to find hidden stuff. I mean, there's definitely hidden stuff there, but it's more of like a linear adventure, which I personally don't mind, but just be aware of that. But the game's story is more story focused than ever, than any other previous gen, and I like it. It's epic. This game has 8 gyms, just like every previous Pokemon gen. The cool thing about the gyms on here is they're all unique, and they all have like different like gimmicks to them. You've seen similar stuff like that in like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and even like Diamond and Pearl, but even more so on here. It's just like more innovative than ever, and I like that a lot. Especially the one gym leader with the cowboy hat. I think he was a ground type one. His gym is very similar to like the steel type gym in Sinnoh with like the elevators. I noticed that, so it's very similar. But the electric gym, the 4th gym on here, there's like the little rail train car things you ride in. That's pretty cool. And then like the 3rd gym, the honey stuff that you have to like push through and solve some puzzles. That's very innovative. I like that a lot. Since this game is very story driven, you won't really be like over leveled at any point. I feel like the trainers and even the wild Pokemon will keep up with you. And I find this generation to be one of the harder ones. It's not like super hard, but compared to the previous games, it can definitely get challenging at times. And like I said, the trainers and even the gym leaders are very close level to you all throughout the game. So there's no way you're gonna just like be super over leveled. Maybe by the end, before you get to Elite Four, you can like grind or something, but I like it. It's like a good consistent challenge. You're not just like blowing everybody out of the water, you know? One of my favorite places in this game is Castelia City. This is where you'll get to like the 3rd gym badge. I love the camera angles on here. Like, the thing about Gen 5 is it's so cinematic. Even from the battles with the fully animated sprites of Pokemon moving for the first time ever, like they're all moving and constantly, it makes them feel alive. And the camera angles in the battles, and then the camera angles in the overworld, like when you cross a giant bridge to a city, and just the different shifting perspectives. It's just so cinematic and epic, you know? They really went all out with Gen 5. And when I was younger and I first played Gen 5, I guess I didn't even pay attention to these little subtle details, and I overlooked them, and I clearly didn't appreciate them, because playing it now, I admire this type of dedication and work they put into this. As I mentioned, this game is sort of like a soft reboot, so the whole Pokédex on here is all brand new original Pokemon. At the time when this game came out, it was very polarizing. You know, a lot of people were turned off by it, I guess, but as time has passed, I think it's aged well. At the time when this game came out, I thought like some of the designs, and even to this day, like some of the designs are like a little questionable, but there's also a lot of great designs for Gen 5. It's just that some Pokemon on here, once they get to like the 3rd evolution, they just turn like weird looking, you know? But for the most part, they're all great. Like Chandelure, Crocodile, Pokemon like Unpheasant. I personally feel it's like the ugliest regional bird up to this point out of the first 5 gens. So there's also a lot of great designs, but also some terrible. Not super bad. With all brand new Pokemon and no returning Pokemon until you get to the post game after you beat the league and everything, it forces you to create a brand new team, and I like that. You can't just like, oh, I'm gonna catch this and use it because I used it in my previous playthroughs and other gens. It really forces you to create a new team, and you have to like figure out like, oh, what type is this Pokemon? You know, whether you catch it in the Pokédex and find out that way, or during a battle you find out. Lots of great teams you can build on here. So many great Pokemon, too. This game has seasons, so every 30 days, the game will have a new season. So if it's August, it'll be wintertime, even though that wouldn't make sense in the real world. So, and then September will be spring. Stuff like that. So it's like every 30 days the season changes, and I guess they did that because they want players to like see each season as often as possible, because if you only played it during the summer, you'd only see like the summer season. So they switch up the season every month, basically. So I don't mind that. It's pretty cool. But some areas in the game will be like closed down if it's like winter time or something. You have to like come back during like a warmer season. So it's an interesting mechanic. And there's also like a Pokemon called Deerling, I believe, and his like color palette changes depending on what season it is when you catch it. So that's awesome. It's very, you know, like we had a day and night cycles of Pokemon, but now you got like seasons, so that's awesome. You know, I like how they experimented with that. Gen 3 introduced double battles, and, you know, they're a staple even to this day. I love double battles, but in Gen 5, they introduced triple or rotation battles. Basically, you send out 3 Pokemon, your opponent sends out 3 Pokemon, and they're like on a rail type thing where you can like spin them around in a circle. So basically you choose what attack you want, or you choose rotate, and then you rotate the Pokemon and then they'll attack. So it's like they have a grass Pokemon out. I'm gonna rotate to my fire one and then make them do a fire attack. But then once you rotate with your fire Pokemon, the opponent could rotate to a water Pokemon. So it's very experimental. I personally, I think it's fine. I don't really care for the rotation battles. It's a nice little concept on paper, but it's kind of like annoying to deal with because it's kind of just like cat and mouse. Like, oh, I'm gonna rotate here until like they have like one Pokemon left to where they can't rotate. So I think it's all right of an idea, like on paper, but I don't really miss it. You know, I don't really care for it, but it's a unique concept. This game has an XP scaling system that I wasn't even aware of when I first played through it all those years ago. Weaker Pokemon get more XP in battle, so that's interesting. I don't think I realized that or even noticed it, but it's there. I feel like your Pokemon level up good on here. You don't have to like grind too much. Just battling trainers and the gyms is plenty enough. You don't really have to go out of your way like red or blue and like grind before a gym, especially if you chose like the wrong typing or something. So everything feels good. The progression on here is nice. You also get like a lucky egg at some point in the game that gives you like more experience per battle. So you can equip that on a Pokemon. But also there's this Pokemon on here called Audino, and it looks very similar to Chansey. You'll notice that with like a lot of Pokemon on here, they look very like similar to Gen 1 counterparts. It's like if they were in an alternate like reality, it's like that looks like Chansey, but it's not, you know. Like Sock and Throw, they look very similar. They don't look similar, but they're like kind of like the Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan of this game, you know. And Trubbish can kind of be like a Muck kind of Pokemon, or Grimer. So that's awesome. But the thing about Audino is, I believe if you take them out, they give you like more XP than other Pokemon would in a battle. So I think it's interesting. You know, just go hunt down the whole population of Audino and take them out to get tons of XP. The gyms on here are good difficulty. And like I said, throughout the whole game, you're never going to be like too high of a level for your opponents, you know? Some starters, like if you choose Snivy, you might have like a hard time. If you choose Oshawott, you'll have like a middle of the road time, and then Tepig, you might have like the best chance, like the most advantage, I guess, through these gyms maybe. I didn't think it was too bad with Oshawott at all, honestly. I can't speak for Snivy because I didn't pick him or ever use him before. But all the starters on here are pretty good, you know. But the gyms, good challenge. I will say, like the second gym, Lenora. When I was a kid and I played these, I definitely got defeated. But this playthrough, she wasn't even bad, honestly. It's probably because I knew what I was doing this time around. But her one Pokemon, it's like always does like the Confuse Ray attack or something, Retaliate. That can be annoying. It's like the evolution of Patrat. And then the fourth gym. I think the fourth gym was even worse than, not worse, but like harder than the second gym on here, because it's an electric type, and Emolga is like a flying electric type, so you can't really use like Dig or something. You know, my Oshawott evolved into a Dewott at that point, had Dig, but I couldn't even hit it, you know, so I think the gyms serve a good challenge on here, especially like the second and fourth one. Those ones can be a little tricky if you don't have like the right Pokemon with you. As I mentioned before, the Pokemon during battles are fully animated, and they look so alive and awesome, and the cinematic camera angles, the panning, the zooming, the wide shots, they all look epic. And even the battle music on here is amazing. The music in general on here is 10 out of 10. Everything from the route music, if you like walk, or actually if you stand still, it'll play. But once you're like running or walking, like a drum beat will play. And then if you stop running or walking, the drum beat will stop. That's a nice detail. Like, they really went all out with these games. I can't even stress that enough. And I didn't even realize that when I was younger, or even appreciate it as much. These little details add up, and it's just epic. The music on here is fantastic. When you battle In, when you battle Getsis, epic and haunting. The gym music on here, even the wild battle theme is epic. And something awesome about this soundtrack, the Elite Four theme, one of the best Elite Four themes ever, so epic. And when your Pokemon gets low health on here, they added like a music chime, like a remix of the low health beep, which has never returned since, and I just think that's epic. Like, they really went all out with the soundtrack and the sprites, making the Pokemon feel lively. They had to animate every single Pokemon, you know, all 500 or so at this point, up to this gen. The soundtrack in general on here adds so much emotion to these battles. They make it like nerve-wracking to, oh, I'm like so hyped, you know. And even like the gym leader on their final Pokemon, the music will change to like a victorious theme, like, oh, we're gonna defeat him, like, oh, this is the final Pokemon. Soundtrack on here is 10 out of 10. Once you get all 8 gym badges, you'll make it to Victory Road, which is very different than other Victory Roads. I feel like this one is interesting because you can like slide down the mountain, and there's many different like little openings that you can go through. I feel it's not as long or confusing as like other Victory Roads, so it doesn't take that long to get through, and there's not like too much to like explore, I guess, but there's lots of items to pick up. There's gates you have to pass through before that, and it's very similar to like Gen 1, you know. I know in other Pokemon games they like have to count your badges and stuff, but it's very similar to Gen 1, and I like that. The unique thing about the Elite Four on here is you choose who you want to fight first. So I believe there's a Psychic type, a Ghost type, a Dark type, and a Fighting type. Elite Four members. And so usually like in previous Pokemon games, you would just like fight them 4 in a row, and then you fight the champion. Well, in here you get to choose who you want, and if you have a Crocodile, he's a Dark Ground type, you know, you can destroy the Psychic person, the Ghost type. The Fighting type, you can kind of brute force it with, well, at least I did with my Samurai, with Stab, Surf, and you can even equip like a Mystic Water item on him to like boost water type attacks. But you know, there's plenty of water or flying types you can get, like Unpheasant or even Sigilif. You know, he's like a flying psychic type, so that could really help out. And then, yeah, once you beat all 4 of them, you don't fight the champion on your first time. The thing is, N, he went here and defeated Alder, the champion, to prove a point. Like, if I beat you, that means all Pokemon must be free, because my view is the right one. Earlier, up to this point, you'll get like a white stone that has like Regiram inside of it, if you play black. If you play white version, you'll have like Zekrom. But basically, in previous Pokemon games, you would catch a legendary Pokemon like Ho-Oh or Lugia or Groudon, Kyogre. You usually catch them before the 8th gym in most Pokemon games. On here, you don't even catch the legendary till the Elite Four. And so, right as you battle in, you'll either catch Regiram or Zekrom. He'll be summoned, and then you'll battle in. So that's awesome. And I caught Regiram with a quick ball on my first try. And I know he's like, you have to catch him. You can't like, if you kill him, he'll like come back to life or something. It's like a mandatory catch to progress the story. So you can't really like mess it up too much, but that was pretty epic. You catch him, you battle N, you defeat N, and then gets this, his whole plan has failed, and he's like, he basically used N as a puppet, you know, and the whole freeing Pokemon liberation thing, it was all just a lie. Then you battle Getsus, and right after N, so that's epic, but your Pokemon, they'll heal. His music is haunting, it's so epic, and then you defeat Getsus with his under-leveled Hydreigon. That's cheating. It's funny, because before you even fight him, he's like, I must eliminate you. It's like, I'm just a child. I'm only like 14 or 15. You can't do this to me. But, yeah, that's interesting. You defeat him, and then the credits roll. Well, actually, N jumps off a cliff with the Pokemon, one of the legendaries. In my case, he left with Zekrom. And then the credits roll, and the credits music on here is so fantastic. When I beat this game, I just sat there, like, because I haven't played this in like 14, 15 years. I'm like, dude, this is epic. Like, what the heck? What did I not see in this all those years ago? Because I've always liked Gen 5, but like, it was like, it's whatever. That's why I never went back to it until now. And I'm like, dude, this is absolutely amazing. I love Gen 5. It's peak. But absolutely fantastic way to end a game. Holy crap. Once you return to the game after beating the league, some guy named the Looker, he'll be in your house talking to your mother, and he'll give you a Super Rod. And you'll know the Looker from like the Sinnoh games and other Pokemon games he was in. But he'll give you the Super Rod, and that's the interesting thing. It's like, in previous games, you got the Super Rod super early. But on here, it's like, you have to beat the game first? Huh? And they're like, why are you giving him the Super Rod? There's no real reason. That was funny. But this allows you to like fish and catch super high level Pokemon, like level 55 Basculin. Even once you reach the post-game area, that's where you can really like fish and find like a Starmie. A Staryu. You can find some Goldeen and stuff like that. Lots of, you know, like fish Pokemon. So that's awesome, you know. And there's no like old rod, good rod, super rod. It's just one super rod, so one fishing rod total. So that's awesome, I guess. A lot of Pokemon games have like post games, some smaller than others. And Johto has like the most notorious one where you go back to Kanto. On here, the post game isn't like super crazy, but there's a lot to do. And let me tell you, when you first reach it, the Pokemon trainers are super high level, like level 65. And at that point, your starter, it'll probably be like level 58 to 60. So, I mean, this is like a what the heck moment. I like that a lot, though, because it gives you a challenge, and it lets you level up your Pokemon more. The thing about the Elite Four, most of them are like level 48 to like 50-something. Even N and Getsus were in that range. You can rematch the Elite Four later on, and they'll be like level 70, mid-70s and stuff, so I think that's the reason why. I like it. It's a good challenge. if you play Pokemon Black, then the post-game, there'll be a place called Black City. This is where you can like battle a bunch of trainers, and they're high level, some of them. And depending on how fast you get here in the game, they could just be gone altogether if you take too long to get here. So I think that's like an interesting thing, but I heard if you like connect to another game or something, you can like bring them back. Otherwise, if they leave, they're just gone for good, you know, if you don't do that. Same thing with Pokemon White version. Instead, they have White Forest, and you can like catch a bunch of Pokemon there. So I never played Pokemon White, so that's interesting. And if you were gonna pick a version to play, I mean, that would make sense because there's so many Pokemon you can catch. So that's pretty cool. There's also a battle subway you can do in the post game. It's very similar to like a battle tower. It's basically the equivalent. And there's also a cameo from your least favorite person in the world. Give it up for Cynthia with her Garchomp. Oh my gosh! Once you reach like Undella Town or whatever in the post game, Cynthia will jump scare you. And I remember this from when I was a kid, but I was like, oh my gosh. Her Pokemon are stronger than they were in Diamond and Pearl. And so like, I guess she's like the super boss of this game. So I wouldn't even bother with her until you beat the league again, the rematch of the league. Because you're gonna get steamrolled. The cheeks clapped is the medical term, I suppose. But because our Spiritomb don't have a weakness, because it's like Dark Ghost or whatever, at least at this point in the series. And her Garchomp, you know, 4 times weak to ice. That can be like, unless you have like another dragon type, and blah blah blah. She's broken. I hate you, Cynthia. But there's a lot of post-game stuff to do here, and you can catch like a lot of like Gen 3 Pokemon in the post-game, and other stuff like a Drifblim from Gen 4. The post-game on here is a lot of fun. When Gen 5 first came out, a lot of people didn't really understand it, or they're like, ugh, you know, a little turned off by it. But like now, everybody loves Gen 5, and everyone's realized just like how amazing it truly is. I think it's peak. Like, this is where Pokemon peaked, you know. I feel like once like Gen 6 started and they switched to like 3D animations instead of using sprites, I feel like that's just when it all changed. This is like the last sprite-based generation, this and Black and White 2. The music, the animation, the camera angles, like the camera pans and zooms, it's just epic. I love it. It's just absolutely incredible. As I mentioned, these games get sequels called Pokemon Black and White 2. Pokemon Red and Blue had Gold and Silver, but like they weren't like direct sequels. Those games just took like place story-wise 2 years later, which is the same with Black and White too. They take place 2 years later, but they're like direct sequels. You're still in the Unova region, just like 2 years later after the events of these games. So I like that. It's like a first in the series where Pokemon games got like a direct sequel. This game had lots of dark elements in the story, and I like that a lot. Like N being manipulated as a puppet, being told he's like a hero, and questioning the beliefs, because it's not just like, oh, we're a bad guy team like Team Rocket, or we want to take over the world. While that may have been Ghetsis' plan, kind of, they also used like maybe Pokemon should be liberated from humans and they're being tortured and stuff, you know? That's a very interesting, different take, and it's very creative. I like that a lot. Compared to Gens 1 through 4, story-wise, the story on here is fantastic. And the game itself is absolutely amazing, super fun. If you love Gens 1 through 4, you're going to love this as well. I highly recommend playing it, even to new players, but the prices of these games have jumped up over the years dramatically. These games are like $100 to $200. Luckily, I still have my own original copy from all the way back then, but I guess you could try like an emulator, but if you want like the true authentic experience, I guess save up for a copy, but I don't see the prices going down anytime soon, so that's up to you. With Gen 5, they experimented a lot, and a lot of that stuff paid off and was great additions to the franchise, you know? Infinite TMs to the game, which we've never had at that point ever, and that's awesome. So like, it's like, I have Flamethrower, but I can't teach it to a Pokemon because it's my only one, you know? But now they're infinite use. I will say some TMs like Ice Beam and Flamethrower, they're like post-game only. A lot of the good TMs are only post-game, which makes the game more challenging, but I like that. And besides very linear story structure with like not too much to explore, there's still so much to do. You can also like find Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion. They're kind of like the equivalent to like Mesprit, Uxie, and Azelf, sort of. There's so much to do in this game, even in the post-game. If the post-game's not even like that big compared to like Johto's Kanto and all that, but there's still so much to do in here. I highly recommend playing these games. Gen 5 is peak. I love it. Go play them. I'll see you next time.